because he was sacked by the company. A man in a rage threatened his boss that he would kill you in 3 days, but afterwards, when he regretted and went to apologize to his boss, but found that the boss was already dead, Wei couldn't believe it. He drew the knife again and again. Then he was sure it wasn't a prank. The blood all over his body and his shocked expression. He was instantly convicted. Now he can't get it back even if he wants to. He could only take the knife and run out like a madman. He once threatened his boss in public. He was taken for a murderer by his colleagues. The police will soon arrive at the scene. To avoid suspicion, Wei took a handkerchief. He pretended to have a nosebleed and escaped from the building. He's really smart. Meanwhile, the real murderer has also used the rope to escape smoothly. Why escape to a bridge? He was going to dispose of the murder weapon here, but he didn't realize the dagger thrown, after making a perfect curve in the sky, it fell on a police patrol boat. This makes it even more difficult to explain. In fact, he didn't have to run at all, because there is a surveillance camera in the boss's office. The police have locked the face of the real killer, but Wei did not know. As soon as he saw the police, he started to dodge, until late at night when the police were off duty. He dared to come out and leave a message to his parents, saying that he had to run away for a while. Then he went to the ATM to withdraw some money for his escape. But suddenly he thought that withdrawing money would reveal his whereabouts. So he threw away all the bank cards in his bag. He only kept 30 yuan. After cleaning up the blood, he rushed to the bus station. He asked where he could go with 30 yuan. The conductor said, 30 won't get you anywhere. Wei had to take off his watch. Then he exchanged it for a ticket. On the other hand, the killer stole a jeep and ran away. On the way, he met Wei again. They looked at each other. The killer panicked. How did he follow him? But what he didn't know is, Wei could not see out of the car. Not long after, Wei was kicked off the train. It turns out that the conductor only gave him a ticket for half of the journey. This is great. Wei began to survive in the wilderness. He walked all the way to dawn. He picked fruits when he was thirsty and ate poisonous mushrooms when he was hungry. Luckily, he was blessed by God. He found a jeep in the wilderness. That's right, the one the killer lost. Wei drove straight to a motel. Finally, he was able to get some rest. When he checked in, he was smart enough to make up a fake name. He made up a fake name and put it on the list. To avoid investigation, he stayed in a shady hotel. But when the owner saw his name, he was dumbfounded. Christensen, Scrum, Keaton, Fishman, anyone who can make up a name like that can be identified as a fugitive. Sure enough, in the newspaper, the boss saw the headline about the stolen car. Isn't this the same car that Wei drove? He didn't even think about it and called the police. Wei also read the newspaper after taking a shower. He found out that the car he stole this morning was found last night. The police are really efficient. Wei was so angry that he smashed the wall. Coincidentally, the killer lived next door to him. Soon the police arrived here. Wei could only cover himself with a towel, but the cops didn't give a shit about him, because the killer was over 180, and Wei was only 5 feet 7 inches in shoes. At that moment, the killer, who thought he was discovered, came out with 2 guns. He opened fire on the police. Wei took advantage of the chaos to run away while running and snaking his way, thinking that the guns were aimed at him. The police officers' shooting skills are also very good. The killer was unharmed. He grabbed a police car and fled. Wei ran all the way to the railway tracks. He climbed on a box and jumped on it at the right moment. He managed to catch up with the train, and the killer saw it all. He didn't care. Hungry, Wei was in desperate need of food. It just so happens that the train was carrying a load of canned goods. That's it. On the other hand, the killer contacted his employer. It's the vice president of the company. The killer said there's a man who's been leading the police around to arrest him. If he wants to escape, he has to kill him first. Before the assassin could make his move, he almost died. It turns out that the canned goods were all expired. Older than him, the poisoned Wei was rushed to a nearby hospital. The killer followed him here. When he woke up, he was worried about being caught again, so he stole the clothes of the man next door. Yes, seems to match, but his whereabouts were discovered by the killer disguised as a doctor. The killer took out a knife and was ready to kill. Suddenly, a few policemen came up to him. Wei thought they were here to arrest him. He hurriedly grabbed the sick man's newspaper. Of course, The cops didn't care. The two idiots who grabbed the newspaper in front of him. They went straight to the killer.
Dr. Martin?
Yes?
We need you. My partner's having a heart attack and you're gonna save him. Let's go.
The killer had no choice but to go along with it. He ended up taking his sick colleague away, and the cops were stupid enough not to suspect anything. They even comforted the killer.
Don't feel so bad, Doc. You did all you could.
The killer said he wanted to be quiet and escaped. A man's first hitchhiking trip. The driver was a spirited girl. Wei asked him, "Aren't you afraid I'm a bad guy?" But May said, "Don't be afraid of me." Then she lost consciousness. It turns out that the girl suffers from narcolepsy. Wei was shot in the head. When she woke up, Xiao Mei was ashamed. She said she wanted to take her home to deal with it. "Why do you want to go home?" Wei rushed to fasten the seatbelt, knowing that Wei has nowhere to go. Xiao Mei was ready to take her in temporarily, but Xiao Mei's father was not happy, because the bank she owns is on the verge of bankruptcy. Now the family is so poor that they can only eat tin biscuits. But Wei said he graduated from finance school. He could help out. So the next day, Mei's father took Wei to the bank. At that moment, Mei's nemesis, the farmer next door, came. He was hoping the bank would go bankrupt, so he could buy the land. But that night, the farmer saw on the news. He saw the murder case on the news. He mistook Wei for the real killer. He then put the news in his own newspaper. When they heard that the bank was hiding a criminal, citizens came to retrieve their savings. And the killer came here, looking for a chance to kill Wei. Unexpectedly, the news attracted a large number of police. The killer can't do anything rash this time. Mei saw the situation and dragged Wei away. Afterwards, the police accused Mei's father of harboring a criminal, but Mei's dad took a look at the photo and said, "This isn't Wei at all." That night, Xiao Mei decided to run away with Wei, but she was kidnapped by the killer who followed her, and he asked Mei to drive the car.
Bad idea alert.
The police also received a report. 3 people are fleeing to Mexico. On the way, Wei was still complaining. He didn't look like himself. The killer grabbed the paper and said, "It was me." It was only then that Wei realized what was going on. But the assassin recognized Wei as an elite agent. Before Wei could explain, Xiao Mei's narcolepsy has returned. The group crashed into the amusement park. Soon a large number of police chased them here. With nowhere to run, the killer took them to a high place and said very tough, "I still have your agent. Don't you dare shoot me."
Sorry about that. We don't want anybody to get hurt.
I'm already hurt!
Right. We don't want anybody else to get hurt.
What do you suggest?
I don't know. Call the snipers to get in position.
I can hear you!
Sorry.
When the police do not know what to do, Wei took the opportunity to attract the killer's attention. Xiao Mei directly put his finger into the killer's wound. The pain made the killer lose his balance and fall down. Luckily he grabbed the board. Wei rushed to lend a helping hand, but in the end, he was too late. The killer was arrested on the spot. Wei was finally cleared of any wrongdoing, and got Xiao Mei's confession. Sort of a perfect ending.